Welcome to the Elevate podcast. Belinda Gates has said, when women are in leadership, the whole world benefits. Today's conversation showcases the truth of that statement. Hello and welcome to another episode of Elevate, a Women's Leadership Institute podcast. We are here to discuss the intersection of the modern workplace and gender. And today we have Jenny Groberg with us, who is the CEO and founder of Booksmarts. And we're excited to have you here. I've waited a long time for you to come on the podcast, so I'm excited for our conversation today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I would love you to just kind of flush out who you are, what you do, and then share something personal and fun with us.
Okay. So I'm Jenny Groberg.
Okay.
I have 5 kids. Been married for, I don't even know how long, 23 years almost,
Okay.
22 and a half.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I live in Fruit Heights and I have Booksmarts is my company. We started probably about 18 years ago.
Okay.
And the purpose was to give myself some kind of an income while my husband was in med school.
Ah, yes.
So I couldn't work outside of the home because I had 2 little kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had to figure something out from home. So I started consulting. A lot of times that would lead to people just saying, Jenny, this is so much faster if you do this for me. So
You're like, yes, it is.
yeah. So it started to grow. And then when I had such a heavy workload, I was staying up till 2 a.m. every night.
Oh, after the kids were in bed.
After the kids were in
Yeah.
bed, nap times, it was impossible. And
Mhm.
so I hired my first employee. And then from there, I just continue to try to.
Was that scary? Because for many women, like, that first step to hire is a big decision.
I didn't know it was an option.
Yeah.
I was so exhausted that I told my husband, I have to sell. In my mind's eye, that was the only option, was to sell. And
either burn myself out or sell.
yeah,
Yeah.
and be
okay.
done. I'm done.
Yeah.
And that didn't work out. And then I pivoted and I thought, hey, this person's great. Maybe she can help me.
Hmm.
And I trained her and hired her. She was fresh out of school and it was phenomenal. She was incredible. So
Awesome.
yeah, she felt guilty. Jenny, I don't have full-time work. And I said, that's okay. As long as I'm not doing it, I'll keep getting more work and we'll get you to full-time. So then I'm motivated to get her more work.
Yes.
And then it just started to grow.
Just
And then
built
we
from
just
there.
started hiring more and more. And yeah, so that's kind of how it started.
Yeah. Did you go to school for accounting and finance? Okay, so
Yep.
you kind of had a
I have
background
a degree
in
in
it.
finance. Yeah.
Okay.
But then I got a job as a CFO. I did that when we went out of state for med school.
Mm-hmm.
Because of patent issues and lawsuits, the company dissolved.
Oh.
And then I came back to Utah and started consulting. And so I had a background in finance and CFO work. So yeah, that's how
Very
it started.
cool.
So I love adventure. I love
Okay.
to ski.
Ah, okay.
I love to be outside and hike. I used to be able to trail run. That was my favorite.
Okay.
Still working on getting back there. And I love cheering my kids on at all their sports events.
Mm-hmm. So outdoors is a great thing about
Yeah.
Utah for you. Okay.
Yeah, I love that. And I love ice cream. I love sugar and Diet Coke and all the things.
Skiing and ice cream. I love that. That's a great pairing.
Yes, it's my favorite.
What's your favorite flavor?
I love Nielsen's frozen custard.
Ah,
actually.
shout out to Nielsen.
That's my favorite.
Yes.
Second, if I have to buy it at the grocery store, it's probably going to be Ben & Jerry's. Everything but the kitchen sink.
Oh, I've
Yeah.
not tried that.
Yeah. There's
Everything.
lots of, it's a party.
I can relate
lots
to
of
that.
fun things in it.
Okay, very good. Okay, so one of the reasons that I was so excited to talk to you today is even just recently, you've had all these awards. Like, I'm going to read these so I get these right. So, 2024 CEO of the Year, Female Founder 500 honoree, featured in Entrepreneur magazine, and just recently with Inc., right?
So Inc. came out with their female founders list.
Yes, Female Founders list.
2025.
And guess who was on it?
That was
Yes.
super fun. Up until this point, there have only been 2 women in Utah on the list.
Okay.
And in 2025, there were 5 of us.
Yay!
I think Shay McGee and Elise from Beehive Mills. And then
Okay,
there are 2
yeah.
other people that I don't know, but I feel like the women are really representing and it's awesome.
Yes, it's growing.
Yeah.
Women, one thing that we see is that sometimes corporate structures aren't as flexible as women might need, especially after transition, like kids or aging
Right.
parents or whatever. So they tend to start their own businesses.
Mm,
They're doing really well in that space.
that's
So
awesome.
I love to hear that they're growing. Okay, so many recognitions. How is that with you? Like, sometimes women have a hard time claiming their story or being the face of their brand or whatever. How did you find yourself coming into that? Has it always been really easy? Has it gotten easier as you've gotten older?
No, in fact, it's actually gotten harder for me.
Okay.
And we've talked about this briefly, but I got a traumatic brain injury 6 years ago. And 4 years ago, 4.5, I started to feel better. Started to pull my laptop out, started to work.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this thing called the International Stevie Awards. And
Okay.
I had a client that applied and got one.
Are those communication awards?
There's different categories.
Okay.
So I thought, I'm just going to see. I'm just going to apply. I've got an all-female team. There's a business or a women's category.
This is how she rolls.
This is how
what
it
I love.
started.
Yeah.
There's a chance.
Yes.
So
why not?
why not? And I thought, okay, I don't want to pay to apply in one category and I don't get it. So I'm going to diversify, increase my chances over a few different categories. So I applied for Woman of the Year, Woman Run Workplace of the Year. I can't even remember the other two categories.
But I love that you diversified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I applied in 5
You're a
different
math
categories.
person. Yeah. You're like, why not?
Yeah. And if I'm going to do the work, let's just apply in 5 categories. And we won 4 of the 5. And I thought, I'm up against the Museum of Ice Cream, New York, and Coca-Cola. And the category is 25 employees to 5,000. I'm in this huge category that's totally out of my league, right?
Yeah.
But you have to put the metrics and your growth percentages and all these things. And I thought there's no chance. And there's a chance. And so we got 4 of the 5, and that kind of put us on the board a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, KSL is like, hey, can we speak with you? I was terrified, so scared. I hate doing videos. I absolutely hate it.
Right. Public speaking is next to death for many people and their fears.
See, and I don't mind public speaking. There's something about being filmed, having it be live,
Yes.
no redos. So
Having it last forever.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's out there.
Yep.
And I was worried that I would, with my brain injury, that I would forget my thought or I would stumble or not be as eloquent as I once was. And then that happened. And then there's another thing and another thing. And I always think, okay, yeah, that probably won't happen. There was a study that came out in a university. There was a photography class, and they split the class in half, and they said, half the class, we want you to submit the very best photograph you can. Okay. You can only submit one.
This is college?
Uh-huh. Okay. So the criteria, I don't know all the things with photography, but the lighting, the artistic elements, all the things, but you can only submit one. Okay. So you better make it perfect. Then the other half of the class was told, take as many photos as you can. Just take a ton, anything, everything, and let's see how the photographs stack up. And what they found is the group that took a ton of photos ended up with the best photos versus the students who were only focused on the perfection.
And I've such a lesson in that.
Isn't that neat?
Yes.
And I only came across that in the last couple of months, but that really resonates with me. Am I going to be perfect? Am I the perfect speaker? Am I going to say everything perfectly? No. But there's something to be said about just showing up every single day, Absolutely. Even if it hurts, even if you're scared. And look at what happened. It's crazy, Patty. It's totally crazy.
I love that you said that for so many reasons, because the best things in life are when you show up, but you have to show up for those things. And also with perfection, I think that many of us in the state are perfectionistic or recovering perfectionists. The question is, when is it enough? But on this other hand, it's enough just because you showed up.
Yeah.
Like there's no other qualifier. You showed up, you did your best.
Right.
If you show up in another week and do something different, that was your best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you shared that.
So in the last year
Yeah.
and a half, I've been in Forbes 4 or 5 times. I did this interview. I'm scared to death. And I'm, often when you do an interview with a journalist, they take maybe a few sentences,
Sure.
maybe a paragraph.
And you're like, which one are they going to take?
And that's it.
Yeah.
This was 4 pages of my content. And I thought, what is happening? This is the coolest thing ever. And then since then, we've done more work together. But I think that was the first time that I'm like, I have something to share. I have something to help small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
I can be a voice for women. But then I do this interview with Fox News.
Yeah.
It's live. It's on Christmas Eve.
Okay.
I'm like, why am I doing this? This is totally ruining my Christmas Eve.
Okay.
I hate my life. We do the interview. Someone had an extra microphone. And there was this, I'm worried about content. I'm worried, we're talking about student loan repayment because that was the big thing. This has been in a year, almost 2 years ago. Do I go for it? Do I say what I really think about student loans? These are all my concerns. We get on the call on the Zoom, and there was some kind of an echo. I can't really hear. I hear myself going back and forth. She hears it. It was a total fiasco.
No.
It was a disaster. And sometimes there's a disaster. But luckily it wasn't content. It was a technical issue.
Yes.
But there is something to be said about just showing up and speaking and trying.
Being adaptable.
Yeah.
So we run these cohorts of women, we've got 4 going on right now. And no matter how much we prepare, no matter how much we think we have all the things situated through communication and the AV and all the speakers, invariably something goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always just like, part of leadership is adaptability.
Absolutely.
Letting it roll off your shoulders, being flexible, and being okay anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just being confident and just going with it. Yeah.
And you're so unassuming. You're very unassuming, which is disarming, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah. I
would much rather be unassuming and underestimated and overperform.
I love
any
that.
day.
So your company, I want to talk a little bit more about that. You've said that you wanted this company. You have hired women who are mothers, and you've created a really amazing culture for them. Tell me a little bit about that. Why that perspective? What do you do to create culture that retains these women?
So I was in a really hard position where I needed employment from home and I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
18 years ago, there was no remote work. That wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
And so I have a very strong feeling about only employing women, allowing them to work from home. We don't have an office. Everybody works remotely.
Okay.
And I'm the owner. Emily's my partner. After I got her and she moved up, to COO, I said, hey, I'll give you profit sharing and ownership up to 10% and you can earn it. And this is what I need. And she's phenomenal. So it's women owned, operated, and run. Mm-hmm. We have a team of almost 30 women hoping to just continue to give jobs. Some work full time, some are part time, but
okay. So lots of flexibility.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing. Women are hustlers. They can multitask. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that can be a challenge. It's a really hard demographic to employ, especially remotely.
Interesting.
Women have so many things they're balancing. They have kids. They might have aging or sick parents.
Yeah.
They might have community responsibilities or church responsibilities. If things start to fall apart with their family, their work falls apart. So to kind of keep your finger on the pulse of how is everyone doing.
Yeah.
So we have weekly meetings. We have manager check-ins. We have multiple women on every account. So what that
I was just going to say is across.
So what that looks like is if a client needs accounting help, I have data entry on it, usually 1 or 2 people. I have a bookkeeper. I have an accountant on it. And then we have a CPA review. So if at any point in time, one of those people needs to step away or has maternity leave, I always have somebody that's pregnant or having a baby. I think we have 5 sets of twins.
Not a prerequisite, just so you
Yes.
know.
I think we have 5 sets of twins
Mm,
amongst all of us. So I think there's a lot of support that needs to be given and received. And yeah, we're trying really hard though.
that's interesting that you said that it can be hard, fully remote for this demographic.
Very
I think
hard.
that's really honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes corporations come up against that and then don't know what to do with it.
And that's with a diverse group,
Yeah.
men and women,
Yeah.
you know.
I love that you talked about the cross promotion though. So if someone has to, leave for whatever, there are other people who can help
Yes.
and shore that up. Because we were talking before we started how, for many women, it's not a straight line,
Right.
right?
It's not.
different. Like when you send
Mhm.
your kids off to school, or if they're 2, or if they're 10 or 12 or whatever it is. So I love that you've
Mhm.
created that culture and done it intentionally.
Yeah. And every year in the fall, we have a retreat. I fly everyone in. In the past, we've gone to my parents' cabin.
Okay.
It's just 100% to relax, recharge. We do some manager training with everyone.
Okay.
These are issues that we need to address. These are things we can do better. We do a lot of team building things. It's wonderful. Lots of prizes, but it's 100% my opportunity to thank them for all of the things that they're doing because they work tirelessly. They really do.
That's very cool. That's very cool. That's a very great leader.
Oh.
Yeah.
We have a really good leadership team. We do.
You touched a little bit on, so when you got sick and you were in recovery, one of your employees, you said, would you like to help me do this? And she stepped up and ran it for a while.
Mhm.
And then there's a time that you came back
Mhm.
and took it over again. I'm interested in kind of that arc and that story because there could be a lot of resentment, conflict. I mean, that could have gone really gnarly, but I don't think it did. So would you
Okay.
share with us?
Yeah. So, at the time that I got hurt, I was really struggling to invoice. I couldn't be on my computer. Reading was really hard. And I asked my manager at the time, I said, Melissa, do you want to buy this from me? Do you want my company? And she said, I finally got pregnant. I want to be a mom.
She's like, no.
Yes. I couldn't believe it. And so she said, but Emily's your girl. And I'm like, really? Emily's kids were just about to leave for college, her youngest. She had the bandwidth that I didn't.
Nice.
Because I'm juggling
Which
kids during the
matters.
day. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for a long time, I did not grow my company intentionally. I couldn't handle one more employee.
Yes.
I couldn't handle one more appointment. I was happy. I was happy with our growth. I was happy with my client load. I was content with the amount of women I had on staff. So I wouldn't go on new appointments. I wasn't growing it. And that was okay.
Yeah.
There's a time and a season. And then Emily said, I want to make more money. And I said, awesome. If you want to go on appointments, I'll pay you more for the appointments. And she's scrappy. She's a hustler.
I love that she asked.
She did. And what does this look like? And then when Melissa left, she said, Emily's your girl. I'm like, I don't even know Emily. And she said, no,
like, I don't
she's
know.
your girl. And so I promoted Emily to manager. Now, funny story, 2 years prior, Emily had applied for a job, maybe 3 years prior, and I didn't hire her.
Oh, a job with you?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then she went back and got some refresher courses and she'd been out of the workforce for 16, 17 years. If she would have applied 6 months later, I probably would have hired her because I just didn't have the right position at that time.
Yes.
So she was a little offended, I think, but it wasn't her. It was just timing.
Which can be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to be said about just continually reapplying, just showing your face, connecting.
Don't take it personal. Yeah.
Don't take
I
it
love that.
personally.
Mm-hmm.
So I promoted Emily to manager, and then I said, do you want to buy it? And that didn't work out. And then I said, well, I'll give you profit sharing and ownership if you run this for me because I can't.
Wow.
And that was really empowering for her. She was
Yeah.
highly motivated. She had the time,
Yeah.
and we grew at least 100% every year. Yeah. which
Oh
is-
my goodness. Okay, I'm just going to stop and recap here for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. So she applies. You say, no, she doesn't have the skills, not going
Right.
to hire her. Okay.
She's-
She goes back, she works on herself,
Mhm.
she upskills, she does what she needs to do, come back, applies again. another lady in your company that you trust says, I can't, but
She's your girl.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're like, okay, well, because there's that trust there,
Yeah.
let's give her a try. And then when you need her to, she steps in and runs the company for you.
Mm-hmm.
That is an amazing story with like so many principles that we teach. Okay, I love it.
I try to tell my staff, you guys, I want you to lead.
Yeah.
We have so many opportunities happening. So if you want to be a manager, tell me. If you love HR, tell me. If you want to do my social media, awesome. I hate social media. All these things, you just tell me what you love and I will promote you.
Wow.
There is space at our table and there's quite a few. I have one woman with 6 kids.
Okay.
She has twins that are maybe a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
And I keep saying, Robin, I would love for you to do X, Y, and Z. Yeah, it's not the time. And I'm like, okay, tell me when you're ready. And then we will find a place.
What a beautiful conversation. Yeah, beautiful.
And that's okay.
And it's okay. Yeah. And even your own life reflects that, right?
Right.
So the time where you're like, hey, I need you to take this over. And then, okay, so sorry, interrupted, but I was just so giddy. I had to recount that.
Cool. It's a cool story.
So then when you decided, hey, I'm ready, I've got more bandwidth now, what did that look like?
So we had not finalized our contract.
Okay. You and her or the company?
She and I.
Okay.
I had an attorney friend who was like, yeah, I'll draft it. It's not the biggest fire. He puts it on the back burner.
Right.
And I kept touching it. And finally I was like, I need someone else. So I found an attorney. We're maybe a year in. I draft it, send it to her. She wants to review it, have her brother-in-law who's an attorney review it, all the things. So there was a delay of probably 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And I start to reemerge and I think she could sense, oh no, she's back. She's working.
What does that mean?
We don't have a contract finalized. And it wasn't because of me. She hadn't signed it.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong, but I could sense some tension.
Yeah.
And there was a conference and I'm like, Em, let's go to this. Come with me. And it just felt a little weird. And I said, Emily, I've never reneged on anything I promised you. I've always come through for you. Regardless of when you get this signed, I will come through. And I appreciate and value everything you're doing. So with me working, that doesn't take away from what you're doing. I still want you to do what you're doing. Operations, managing the team, handling incoming clients, all those things, growth, all those things. You handle that, not growth, but handling the incoming growth.
Yeah.
Let me focus on community outreach, on growth, on client acquisition, on getting our name out.
I love it. You showed value and then you clarified and were transparent. Yeah.
And my role has changed. I've done every single position in my company. I have. And then there's a time where I think, okay, I'm good. I want to do something different. And I pivot into a different role.
Yeah.
And this was kind of that. And after that, she was like, awesome. Okay, I'm not going to get pushed out. I'm still COO. I'm still running things. I do whatever I can to support her. And she is a priority. But it was really good to just clarify. I can sense that you might be uneasy.
Absolutely.
And just know that we can work together and we are way more powerful together. And we are.
Yeah.
And we're doing awesome things.
I love
and
that.
I have an idea and I push it to her and I trust her to do it.
That's huge.
And I know that she can do it. You know, we have this new deal happening. I reach out, get contacts. Emily, can you research this and vet it out and try to build it? And it's a really good partnership.
Yeah. Well, and you've created a culture where if the women want to learn and grow and take on more, you're like, great, let's find a place for you. Instead of, sorry, we can't do that. You know, you'll have to go somewhere else, which I'm sure can happen sometimes. But I'm always about retaining the people who are with you.
Yeah. When they have twins or babies and they say, I can work 5 hours, I tell Emily, she's not coming back. She has 6 kids and twins. I know what this looks like. She's never coming back. And that's okay.
That's okay.
And after a few months, we hear from her, I think I'm ready for a few hours. And I'm thinking, what? How? But she loves working and she wants to work. And I get it. I'm the one in the hospital after I've just given birth answering emails. Because I love it. I love
It's one
it.
thing when you do that by choice,
Yeah.
right? Because you love it. We just heard a story where I think it was, anyway, she told the story of how she was giving her third birth and she had to work because there was no leave policy and she had no time off either. And so that pressure of just having to get it done when really you should just be like, you just created a life. Yes.
Have a
Let's
good
celebrate
boundary,
that
a
for
work-life
minute.
boundary. That is something I am not good at, is this work-life boundary.
Well, my guess is that most founders don't have a good
Yeah.
work-life boundary.
And I excuse it saying, oh, it's my company and I love it. But it is my hobby. It is. And I am passionate about it. And, and I enjoy it. But with my employees, I definitely want them to have boundaries and a good work-life balance.
Yeah. So you are growing. You know, we talked about the awards. You've got a new partnership. I'd love you to tell the story about being in the boardroom. Okay. I just think that's so great to know who you are.
Okay. So all these crazy things have happened in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Like I've done work with Accounting Today and Forbes and Entrepreneur and Inc. and Success Magazine. And it's just all the things. And I think, what is actually happening? Well, I meet someone. She introduces me to the CEO of her company. She had heard of me and then met me. And she's like, I want you to meet the CEO of our company. And I'm like, okay. And then she preps me and says, don't be surprised if he says he wants to buy you. Luckily, she prepped me. I would have probably my mouth probably would have hit the table.
Okay.
So I go down and meet with them. And my husband asks, are you nervous about this meeting? I'm like, no, because nothing is going to happen. Literally nothing is going to happen.
I'm just going to have a chat.
Yeah. So let's just go talk, whatever. So I go down and speak with them and he tells me his idea and he's like, I want to buy you out. And I kind of laughed a little and thought, oh, she was right. He actually is saying that. And I said, no. And no, I'm not interested, but let's partner. Yeah. And he says to me, Jenny, read the room. You're in a boardroom with the CEO and vice president of this company. I'm a $30 billion company. I have $3 billion in equity. Just tell me your price and I'll write you a check.
Sounds so intimidating.
It's like, oh, that sounds great. And in my head, I'm going through the numbers thinking, no way, I'm way too cheap right now. And I say to him, I'm like, I have only been working the last 2 years. I am just getting started. There's no way. This doesn't make sense. And he said, well, I want you to think about it. We had that conversation probably 3 more times and he could not figure out why I would not sell. And I just said, hey, let's.
For him, it was about numbers.
Yeah. And the numbers are great. And in my head, I'm thinking kind of like I did after I got hurt. I could run this into the ground over the next 2 years and do better than what you're offering me. So I'll do that. So I'm thinking, hey, this is not about the money for me. It's not. I'm competitive with myself. I just want to see, can I do this? Okay, well, if I did that, can we do this? We hit 7 figures. Can we hit 8? Let's do it. Yeah. And I do have this mentality, this growth mentality of if I can come back from a literally incapacitating brain injury where I cannot even read or braid my daughter's hair or come up with one word other than, I had a cognitive therapist say, tell me all the words you can think of that start with an S. And the only word I could come up with was Sam. It was my brother-in-law at the time. Couldn't even hardly process. If I can come back from this, who knows what we can do? So we had another conversation. I'm like, hey, let's do this. And he's like, awesome. And then he's like, send me your financials. And I'm like, oh no. And he said, he's like, I thought you were going to sell. I'm like, no, I told you I wasn't going to sell, but let's partner. Let's do this. So you never know. So just go for it. So, if I was maybe exhausted or maybe thought, yeah, I've done as much as I can do in this space, then I might consider it. Yeah. But I'm not. And we are just getting started. And I really do hope to employ more women. And I really want to do more in the community. So,
yeah. So the theme that I am sensing is timing matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does.
Timing matters because, like, at a different time and place, maybe you would have said, yeah. But
Yeah.
I love that you just said, no, like, I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing to
And
be
it
able
was
to claim.
and it was fun. I'm not
Yeah.
intimidated. I'm not cowering. It's just this fun conversation of, oh, you want to work with me? Awesome. Let's do this. There's always a chance,
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't know what relationships will lead to other relationships.
Right.
So you just have to show up, share your story, speak with people, and you don't
See what
know.
lands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something will stick. It's like the photographs. You just put enough out there and something will be really beautiful.
The other thing that I liked about what you said is it wasn't a no, although sometimes that's appropriate. It was a, yeah, not this way,
Yeah.
but let's consider this way.
Yeah.
I think how I've seen people be really flexible and successful is because they find those ways, right? They don't have to close the door, but
Yeah.
find the way that you can work with them if you want to. Yeah.
Yeah. And that door's not closed. And, I'm not saying I would never sell.
Yeah.
But I'm having fun and something's happening.
Yeah.
Lots
of synergy around what you're doing.
Yeah. And everybody needs what we're offering. Everybody needs accounting
Okay, so
help.
tell us exactly what you do because we didn't do that in the beginning.
Okay, so we offer fractional accounting and bookkeeping services.
Okay.
I had one client, he was paid based on the net income. And whoever was in his office doing the books, it was a total disaster. So he couldn't be paid because they didn't know the actual net income.
Oh.
Also, all the payroll filings were wrong. So they're getting IRS notices, state of Utah notices. So he calls me and I go down and kind of unwind everything. And we had to go back a couple of years and clean everything up, true up his pay.
Okay.
And then after working with them for about five-ish years, maybe 8, he sells and they sell for $30 million. They hire a CFO and the CFO calls me and says, you're fired. I can do the accounting now. I'm going to start hiring internally.
Okay.
We don't need you anymore. But we were their back office accounting accounting department. And the benefit to the company is they're not paying for our cross training. They're not paying our taxes, any benefits, nothing. They are, and it's a pay per piece. So it's not like having a salaried employee in-house, but they also get the benefits of data entry, bookkeepers, accountants, and CPAs. They get the whole thing.
Okay.
Right. So the CFO fires me. The CEO says, what are you doing? You need help. You don't have a fully trained accounting department yet.
Right.
So he calls me back. I'm really sorry. Can we still work together? I'm like, I would love to.
That's awesome.
So we continue working and I'm thinking this account is probably going to dry up in 6 months.
Okay.
At the time, it's 80% of my business.
Oh.
It really hurt to lose them. And I said, yes, whatever's best for you. We will train the accounts that you hire. We will offload. I thought it would last 6 months.
Yeah.
We are still working with them. It's beauty industry group, big. They just keep acquiring more and more beauty companies. They sold for just under $1 billion in the last year, and they still have us helping them. So I love that. I love that these relationships grow, that as they grow, we grow with them. I have another client who I started with him when he was running his dad's dealership. And then he has an idea for a business. Then he decides that he'll franchise the business. And now we have a contract with them that will service all the franchisees. There's hundreds of those. So it's this really fun, it's all about relationships.
Yeah.
And you establish a good relationship, you show up and do good work. And then as these partnerships grow, we grow. So that's been fun.
Well, and two, it sounds like, especially in business, if your numbers aren't aligned, it's hard to have success and it's hard to grow.
Yes.
So you can come in
it's impossible.
Yeah, because your foundation isn't solid. So you come in, make sure that that's all good, and then these companies can grow and you can grow with them.
Right.
So it is a win-win all the way along that journey. Yeah.
Yeah. I did a a piece with Entrepreneur about the final 5 and how if entrepreneurs will review these 5 reports at the end of the day, the last 5 minutes of the day,
Okay.
then they can make strategic decisions based on numerical evidence rather than emotion. Because entrepreneurs are often putting out their biggest fire.
Yep.
This is in my face. Okay. All right. I'll take care of you. I feel the same way. Whatever is the biggest fire in my face,
Right.
that's what I'm focusing on.
I feel like a Stephen Covey rubric is happening here, right?
Okay.
Right?
Okay. So I say the last 5 minutes of the day, review these final 5 reports.
Okay.
Then you can see who is the number one client you should be focusing on. Where is your money coming from? Look at your AR, look at your AP. It's so cool. Entrepreneur. We do the article, and then a couple weeks later, they've made this video of the content. Then this other video comes out with the editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur magazine talking about the final 5. It's so cool. But that is fundamental for business owners to actually be reviewing their financials as often as they can. And if you know what your numbers are, you can make better decisions.
Yeah.
You can change your pricing. You can change your target market. You can change your manufacturing maybe. But if you can see the trends, then you can, excuse me, you can look for outliers. Is something changing? Is my payroll increasing significantly and my revenue's not? If so, then maybe people are doing overtime and you need to be hiring more employees. Maybe that's the trigger for more employees or the marker. So many reasons to be paying attention to your financials. So many reasons to pay someone to help you, like Booksmarts, because it's a very low spend, but the amount of money that you save in taxes, in payroll, in theft, in having all these checks and balances, it's a
let alone awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually how Ken Garf came into the Elevate Her Challenge, which we have for companies, is because they sat down with their numbers and there were 3 dealerships that were doing significantly better than others. And so they said, well, what are they doing? And those 3 dealerships were led by women, had more women in them. And so they're like, well, if that's true, what if we get leaders in these others? Will the numbers go up? So it really came from the data for them because, it's a number equation.
Yes.
If we plug in this variable, what will this happen?
And the numbers show you.
And the numbers show you.
They do.
Yeah.
And it is so important to have gender diversity in a company. It is a concrete fact that more women in leadership leads to better growth. More ideas, all the things. It's a financial absolute truth that having more women in businesses lead to more success.
I love that. I didn't even pay you for that. That was so great. That is yes, absolutely. So Jenny, in our time as we wrap up, I have 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
The first one is, wow, what does the next 5 to 10 years look like for your company and you? And then the closing one is, especially in terms of like being a business owner, working with remote work, mothers, flexible things, what would you say to women who are just trying to figure it out, right? In that space of you wanting to bring in some income and where do I go? How do I figure this out?
Okay, so to answer your first question, I didn't re-enter the workforce for awards. I didn't do it because I like to be in the limelight. It's actually the exact opposite. But every time I do something, I think, okay, I'm doing this to build my business. And I can see that everything I do that might be intimidating or scary helps me get experience and more confidence and more presence, but it is building the name and brand. And I think that there is something to be said about just trying. And so I would like to encourage any woman listening, you just try. You just show up.
And it's okay to apply for the award, right?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Okay.
So what do the next 5 to 10 years look like for me? I'm hoping to get to 8 figures.
Okay.
I am hoping that I can employ 100 women. I am planning on a deal with this company. We are working on it. I speak with them on a weekly basis, and I am trying to get my ducks in a row so that we can support it. It's going to be an issue scaling. We're going to pilot in Utah. They're a multi-state company. So we're going to pilot in Utah, and I'm really excited to announce that.
Good.
I think they're really thrilled about the prospect of working with us because we are all women.
Mm-hmm.
I think we would add a lot to their brand and their company. I hope to give more money and resources to the community. I really want to do that. Currently, Booksmarts does a scholarship for girls in business that are studying business. We give $4,000 in scholarships. So there's a first and second prize or award. And we do that. We help with local sports teams, with education, with nonprofits. We actually do a lot of work with nonprofits, which I'm really proud of. Yeah. So anyways, that's my hope.
I love that you had those metrics right off the top. You know where you're going or where you're
going. And I think we're giving about 8% of net income, which is not a diluted net income. That's not before. That is
says the money person.
we are really mindful and giving a lot to women too. That's a huge focus. Last year, I did quite a bit of charitable work with moms and women. So your second question was,
what would you tell those listening?
Oh, that's right. Okay, so what I would say to them is you just keep trying. When I am looking to hire a woman, I am looking at what are you telling me that you're not telling me? So they may send an application, they may send me a resume, but I'm looking at how often are you following up with me? What does your email to me look like? Is it spelled correctly? Are you kind? Can you work in a team?
Yeah.
Are you a hustler? I love it when women like Emily just kept following up. Hey, can I do this? Even as an employee, Melissa could see it in her. Hey, can I do this? Hey, I'll do this. Hey, can I make more money? Can I support these people?
Yeah.
Those are things that you're telling me without telling me.
I love
and
that.
I can see it in my team. I can see when someone says, oh, I spoke with this coworker and she encouraged me to do this. And this coworker did this. Those are things that they think that I don't see. And I do see it. I do see when they don't do correct work. And it's often based on, issues from clients. If clients maybe have a problem, then they come to me. And they say, hey, I have an issue here.
Yep.
And if it gets to me, that's obviously not great. It usually goes to Emily, but so many of my clients are personal friends at this point, right?
Yep.
So I would just say you have certain skill sets. You have a lot of professionalism, even if you think you don't. Even if you think I've been out of the workplace, I don't have those skills. I'm not always looking for those hard skills. I'm looking at, can you figure it out?
Yeah.
Can you multitask?
Everything's figure-outable.
Yes.
Yeah.
So focus on what you can do. Don't over-explain. Don't apologize. Go into an interview. Always you can say, hey, I know you're taking a little bit of a risk on me, but give me 60 days. And if I show you how good I am, then bump my pay up.
Love it.
Do that. If I have somebody that's like, hey, you might think you're taking a risk on me, but I'm awesome because of X, Y, and Z. And
I'll show you.
And at 90 days after I show you, will you bump my pay to this? I'd be like, awesome. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Because you're confident. You're showing me that you believe in yourself. So I would like to offer that advice. Believe in yourself. Write down all of the things you're awesome at. And it may be that you can multitask. It may be that you're really great, a really great communicator, or all the things. And I would practice with your kids, practice with your husband.
My teenagers are the honest
For real.
truth tellers, yes.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much in an interview, the questions are going to be the same. Look on ChatGPT for what are pretty standard interview questions. Focus on your strengths. Don't really elaborate too much on your weaknesses, and practice with people.
Yeah.
And then network, ask around. I had a woman reach out to me, Jenny, I've been a mom for 17 years. You seem to know a lot of people. Is there anybody that you might be able to connect me with? Here's what I'm good at. It probably would have been even better if then she called me and we could talk about it. But I think she would be great. And I said, hey, let me put you in touch with this and this person. And so just
Yeah.
reach out to people who are working or who you think might be encouraging, and surround yourself by people who will encourage and lift you.
I love that. That was golden. That was so good. Thank you so much
You're
for
so
sharing,
welcome.
for your life, for all that you're doing, the support you're giving women and the economy.
Thanks.
Right? And we're rooting for you. I can't wait
Thank
for the
you.
next 5 years.
Thank you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
that.